Welcome to the Data Company Podcast. My name is Jedidiah Yueh, and I will be our host today. Today, I'd like to invite Monsieur Yves Caseau to join us. He is the Group Chief Digital Information Officer at Michelin. He's also the author of a new book called The Lean Approach to Digital Transformation. Thank you for joining us, Monsieur Caseau.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here.
Mr. Caseau, would you please share with us what inspired the book?
I joined Michelin 3 years ago as the group CIO, and now I'm also in charge of digital. And before that, I was the CDO at AXA. And even before that, I worked at Bouygues Telecom. And after 10 years, I wanted to share what I had learned, what was easy and what was not so easy. The subtitle of the book is From Customer to Code. And the book says you have to master both. You have to be good at listening to your customers, but also you have to be very good at producing software fast and efficiently in a DevOps approach, which is, by the way, similar to some of the things you're saying in your own book, Disrupt or Die. I share many of your views over there. The book is about what I call exponential information systems, is how you manage your information system so that you can deliver exponential technologies to your company fast, frequently, constantly, with a high level of quality that the digital players, the best in class, are very good at doing. And I agree with you. The traditional companies, they have to become software companies and they have to become extremely good at this. Otherwise, they'll be in trouble.
Mr. Caseau, you run a very large organization at a very large company that's been around for many, many years. And that's a pretty complex thing to digitize. One of the things you talk about in your book is that many companies at that kind of scale, enterprises who have long-standing businesses, really struggle with digital transformation, and they put in place many of these programs, but they often see disappointing results. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I'm a strong believer in execution and in the fact that you need digital talents. That is, at the end, it's about your engineering and your software. So sure, it's very important to have the business drive. It starts with the business vision, but if you don't have the capabilities, you have wonderful PowerPoints, but much more often you deliver too slowly. So by the time you're there, your market, your users are not there anymore, or there is someone who has disrupted you because he was much faster. The reason for writing this book was to first tell large companies that software craftsmanship matters, and also that they have to be much more customer-centric than they are. And the bigger the company, the more you have a bureaucracy and long decision-making processes, which is the opposite of what you need to do to be customer-centric.
Definitely. In the Silicon Valley world, you don't have to battle bureaucracy. You're really just fighting the battle against the market. A decade ago, companies were waking up and they realized every company must be a software company. They really realized the importance of applications to the future of their businesses. Today, I believe that companies are really waking up to discover that every company is a data company. If you really want to compete today, you need to master data management. You have to be great at instrumenting data throughout your business and your products. Today, the tech giants, they're not just software companies, they're all masters of data and data management. Where do you think Michelin is along the journey of becoming a data company?
It's a tough question. I'm going to give you an answer which is as honest as possible. So when I joined, I defined my IS strategy as sort of the backbone for becoming a data-driven company with 5 layers. It's like a Maslow pyramid. You need to get better one step at a time. The first one was really quality of service, performance, high availability. We were not that good when I joined. We've made progress. We've reduced our downtime by a factor of 5. So that's good news. The bad news is it was not good enough. The second layer was really simplification, because I believe in moving software fast. It's like the law of physics. The more stuff you have, the slower you move. So you need to reduce the weight and the complexity. And here we've made progress. We're not there yet. Then you need to have data that flows throughout the company. Michelin, it's a data-driven company, which has been very siloed. Today is not only to have data, but to make it available everywhere and fast. And we are not totally there yet. And then we need to move to system integration, working on the edge with APIs with our partners, and that's sort of opening Michelin information system to the rest of the world. Here we're in progress. We've actually made very positive and significant progress with Costco, with a number of other players. But still, we have a long way to go. And last, quality of experience and user experience design. We are a product company. We are an engineering company. We are a science company, which is a strength. But we're not so much a user experience company, and we have to learn. When I was reading your book, I figured we are good now at the defensive game, but we have to play the offensive. And here we are beginners. We are started to play the offensive game, but We are not at the level of the best players yet, that's for sure.
It certainly sounds like customer experience is an area where data could be an advantage to Michelin. Are there other areas do you see where data plays a really important role for the future of the business?
Well, data plays a role everywhere, but I'm going to pinpoint two things. First, we are a product company, a chemical company. Our treasure is our IP about rubber, about metal, and the way we have operated in the past, we've extracted knowledge from a lot of tests. So this is all about knowledge engineering and data engineering. Our ambition now is to do what we call data-driven engineering and data-driven R&D. And here it's critical because the reason Michelin produce tires which have better performance than our competitors is because of our better knowledge. If we don't continue to be good at knowledge engineering, we'll lose that. The other thing which is critical to us is because our tires are complex, the manufacturing is complex, and digital manufacturing is a wonderful opportunity to let the digital handle some part of that complexity without any sort of removing the cost, the price gap that it would create. So we've had very nice successes with digital manufacturing. If you ask me, do I think that we are where we should be? Not yet, but if I compare to other companies in the manufacturing world or other tires manufacturers, we are definitely quite good. This is creating value. And if you also ask me where do I see the most value from a dollar and cents perspective, it's probably manufacturing. From a strategic perspective, we have to be the best at chemical knowledge engineering with data. I think this is what we have to do.
Data is very important with that kind of chemical and engineering intersection. Who owns data at Michelin?
So that's another very interesting question. The simple answer is there's good news and bad news. The good news is our businesses like engineering, manufacturing, supply chain, they own the data. We have business owners, we have data owners, and we have data governance organization. That is quite nice because it means businesses, they have their own data strategy. However, it is too siloed. And as I was saying earlier, the challenge for Michelin is to move from everybody has their data and doing their own data-driven decision to we share data end-to-end across the product lifecycle, and the next gen of R&D leverages the data from usage, the next gen of manufacturing talks to R&D and so on. And here we know that we have to make progress. We have to make our data models more interoperable because frankly, if I try to do an end-to-end throughout the lifecycle of the product, matching with all the data that I have collected, it's possible, but it's too much work today. I think removing the data friction is really what it means to be data-driven.
Now, data is really the foundation of the digital world, and digital transformation certainly depends on both software and data. Do you see bottlenecks in data management in your world and across other customer environments?
I'll start with what matters the most for us, which is data quality. Data quality is very much related to the quality of service. When I joined, I worked on the quality of service because when I look at the root causes for why we had poor data, a third was a question of UI, having the right tools to input data or process engineering, but 2/3 were about system failures, poor performance, desynchronization, batches that run too late so you don't have the right version of the data and so on. So we have made a significant effort to improve all of this and our data quality has improved. We are not there yet. Then there is the obvious about data security, which is critical to us because as I said, we are like Coca-Cola, a chemistry company. Our value is our recipes. And if we were to lose that, we will be in real trouble. So we take this very seriously at Michelin. Sometimes it makes us go a little slower, but it's an absolute must do. Another key thing for most companies is compliances with all the regulation. For us, our key data, it's more about tire than it is about sensitive data from customers. It's important for us. We make sure that we are compliant, but it's not my main worry. My main worry is removing friction while keeping my security. I told you our R&D knowledge is extracted from our testing data. If that data was stolen or extracted by a hacker, we would be in trouble. So we take that very seriously.
You've talked about having an edge against your competitors in data and in software, but there might be still some opportunity when you look at the tech giants. How strategically are you managing data today and what is the road ahead?
We use a maturity model. I'm going to summarize very, very shortly. It's sort of inspired by the Acatech, which is the German Academy of Engineering. And by the way, I'm a member of the French Academy of Engineering, so I like to look at those models. The first level is we say we use data to better see, understand, and predict what's going to happen. It's a way to make better decisions about your process. Once you master this, you use data to adapt, to take decision, to automate. So you become adaptive, you become reactive. Once you become good with this, you start selling that capability to others. And by the way, at Michelin, we sell data to others. We sell tires as a service. And when we sell tires to them, we sell them as a service. The cost is by ton transported times kilometers. We sell our data insight as a service. And that's for me, that's the third level. You start making value from your data that you sell to others. And the fourth level is when you sell your data to someone who's going to make value in a way that we have not thought about. So through API, and you're selling data as a product. The two first levels, they are really about Michelin using data for ourselves. We are quite good. As I said, we have a long way to go in terms of digital manufacturing, but I would say we're okay. The next two levels, that is service and data products, we are beginners. We are players. We are actually one of the active players in the connected tire industry. So I'm proud of what we do. But if I compare myself to the tech giants, we could do better. We have things to learn. We have to better manage, play with the ecosystems. We have to play the game of the platform better. There are a number of things that digital giants are doing that we have to learn to do.
One of the things in your book you talk about is lean software factories, or these micro factories. We're really big believers in this as well. At Delfix, we have an API first data platform. So we're putting APIs around all of the potential features customers need to instrument their data into a wide variety of use cases. Can you talk a little bit about lean software factories and the importance of APIs?
For us, API are key to our IS strategy as a way to decouple, to create capabilities and to foster reuse. Innovation, you have to move fast, but for that you have to have capabilities. So you build capabilities through API and then you can move fast. There is a moving fast and slow. The other thing which is really critical in a digital mindset is when you build API, you build them for usage that you don't know. That is, you have to think as a software company, who is my community? What is my roadmap? What could people do with my data? The lean software factory idea is really putting together Agile and DevOps and saying, okay, we are going to produce software that changes constantly. So it's not like 20 years ago, you could say, oh, I'm going to write the spec, I will put my code, do all the testing, and then I'm done. I have something which is stable. This is not the way it works anymore. You change things constantly. So you need a much higher level of excellence. For me, I started my career, I was developing programming languages and compilers. And code elegance was very important at that time. And then somehow I moved into IT and nobody cared about the code anymore. And you outsource, you offshore, it's black boxes. The digital world is not a world of black boxes. It's a world of white boxes that you understand, that you link to each other and where you change things constantly. And for me, the lean software, and the reason I like to talk about software craftsmanship, is in the same way that lean manufacturing in Toyota sense means doing your job very well, with sort of love of your job, love of your car. So for me, in the software industry, it's the love of your code. And the reason you have to love your code is because you're going to change it every 2 months or every day or whatever, at a high frequency. And what the book is trying to say mimics my experience, is that it changes everything when you write code that is going to change all the time, as opposed to code that once it's done, you let it sit and you can simply live with the services.
This continuous manufacturing approach to code definitely makes sense. One of the things that we've done with our APIs is to really enable programmable data infrastructure. The biggest use case for us is really integrating data into those continuous testing practices that you depict in some of the diagrams in your book. One of the other things that we're finding our customers are doing with our programmable APIs is that they're enabling the use of data for driving down downtime events. So improving mean time to repair, really targeting the SRE use case, site reliability engineering. Can you talk a little bit about your efforts in reducing downtime? You talked about reducing it by 5x, but tell us a little bit more about that, please.
The key lesson I learned from my previous years at Bouygues Telecom, in the digital world, the quality of service is absolutely critical. It's a foundation. Many of our customers were complaining, saying, your tires are wonderful, but your systems are not as good as I expect. To get better, you have to reduce the mean time between failure and reduce the mean time to repair. The first one, it's a long-term journey. It's about better architecture, it's about better system, moving to cloud, leveraging the ways of the digital giant. And we have this program at Michelin to do that, but it takes longer. To improve the mean time to repair, it's about people, it's about skills, processes. We looked very hard at the Google Site Reliability Engineering, the SRE book, because it's a good source of it. And then it's about tools. And you know that we are Delphix customer, and we are a happy Delphix customer because we've been using Delphix in production, either on our own to do hotfix faster, to restore the database state to where it was before, or also in a collaborative mode when we work with a platform that somebody else is operating, and we are able, thanks to Delphix, to capture the exact context, send it to our partners, and they can fix things faster. For us, frankly, I'm happy to have this discussion because we've been very happy with using Delphix as a way to improve our quality of service.
That's fantastic. Thank you. One of the interesting things I've discovered about your background, not only do you have a computer science background, you also have an AI background. In our last conversation at the Data Company podcast, we spoke with Monsieur Bernard Gavgani, who you know is the group CIO over at BNP Paribas. They've built an AI as a service offering on our platform using our APIs. Talk to us a little bit about how you see the AI ML journey at Michelin.
What is interesting is Michelin is, as I said, a science and technology company. So we've been doing the old-fashioned kind of AI for a long time in manufacturing and planning and scheduling. But what is interesting is now, 10 years ago, the deep learning revolution started. We've started also at the same time to take a look in our R&D department and then now in the supply chain and the manufacturing departments to see how we can use newer kinds of algorithms. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. For manufacturing, machine vision, thanks to deep learning, is getting better and better. If you visit a Michelin factory, you will see that we had cameras taking pictures or even X-ray pictures for decades, actually. But the new kind of algorithm that you can do with machine learning, we can get much better performance. So this is really changing things. We have a very complex supply chain. As everybody with COVID, we've been suffering because the patterns worldwide are very different. We'll be using machine learning to recognize those dangerous patterns, and that works very well. So we've been improving in the last year our supply chain performance thanks to deep learning and thanks to machine learning. To give you another example, as I mentioned earlier, we are very keen about using machine learning to extract more knowledge from tests. And also, you can guess, I won't going to tell you much more about this one because this one is the very sensitive proprietary part of what we're doing. It's easier for me to talk about supply chain because we are running supply chain like every other company. What we do is chemistry, sort of our own magic recipes.
It's really great to hear where that AI and ML is really where rubber meets the road here at Michelin.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting to hear about the programs and how much it can change the makeup of the tires. You've been at Michelin for 3 years. Has your perspective changed over that time?
Yes, because something that was not clear to me when I joined is Michelin is a worldwide company. It's a company that is really targeting growth, that is looking at many adjacent domains, such as new materials, service and solution. And because of that, this vision that I have had in a previous job when I was the CIO of a telco company, where you have a stable vision of the world and you try to create a unified data model that is shared by everybody, it is too rigid. What you have to do is something which is more like a federation of data models. You need to have common semantics, but you need to leave the flexibility locally or to different business to evolve on their own. So it's a much more organic model. And the more I work at Michelin, the more my vision of what the ideal data infrastructure, but also the ideal data model, that vision has changed. It's more flexible. It's more organic. I think is a good way to characterize it.
It's more of that loosely coupled model.
Yes, exactly.
It would be great to learn why did you take a look at Delfix and how have we contributed in digital transformation at Michelin?
We selected Delphix because our vision is we're building an data infrastructure for Michelin with 3 tiers. The collection tiers, which is really about collecting from all sources, internal, external, and it's about data models, it's about architecture. Then we have what we call the data fabric. It's the store and forward capability. And here, to come back to your book, we are making bets. And Delphix is one of our bets. We are selecting a few technology partners to make sure that we know to move data and to store data very fast. The KPIs are quality of service, performance. And then we have many data platforms as users. And here we are hedging our bets. In the middle, I'm making a few bets and I'm saying, okay, I need scale and I need speed. On how to make value from data, I have no crystal ball and I let all my businesses and my teams at Michelin try different things. So I'm more of a multi-cloud type of guy on the edges and a single cloud, single partner, single stack in the middle. So we selected Delphix because we like the technology as a tool to move data efficiently from one place to another, to reconstruct, to travel in the past, which is one of the key usage. If we look at what we've done, there is the part where we use Delphix to move data from our Exadata server legacy to commodity Linux servers to get more scalability and lower cost. But we are also using Delphix as a way to accelerate innovation, which is not going to surprise you, as a way to be able to set up new environment, new test environment, new development environment faster, because we can gather the proper data very fast with a few pointers and a few clicks, with sort of a virtual transfer of data as opposed to physical one.
I think it's great that we're able to participate in this mission to reduce friction and enable faster innovation. We've learned a great deal learning about technology, managing at scale, and how AI and some of these new technologies and methods really apply to Michelin. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Caseau, for joining us on the Data Company podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.